We're rolling? Yes. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here, and we are in. This is the Tibet Center, Kunshap Tarjuling, a Buddhist meditation and study center, and we are at our parsonage in South Orange, New Jersey. We are both classes in New York City and South Orange. Tonight we're in South Orange. And very interesting topics tonight. Little smorgasbord of three different teachers, of course, two different teachers. I'm going to introduce Anya Kema, a Buddhist nun who passed, Buddhist practitioner. I don't know if she was ordained, but anyway, she has a lot to say that's very interesting. All the prayers we say are on our website. Go to the FAQ section and scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone for whom you want us to pray for who has passed away in the recent few weeks or whatever, put their names in the chat box as soon as possible. So we'll start with prayer for the spread of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Arya Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from the ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. Generating Bodhicitta is the title. It's Refuge and Bodhisattva Vow. We say these verses 3 times each. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So now, as is our custom, as soon as I get the rosary off my wrist, we'll say one round of Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, who was the personification of the Buddhist idea of great compassion, covering everyone, whether you like them or not. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So welcome. It's nice and cold outside. Well, it's a little warmer now. Just a thing for a online talk. Anyway, tonight we're going to hear from His Holiness Dalai Lama from this book called Answers, which we did part of Monday night. We'll hear from him on the book we're continuing with is sort of secular ethics mixed with more Dharma, Power of Compassion book. But first, there's a book called Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. This was done in the 90s. This is a nun named Anya Kemma. And Grace, she was born in Germany, right? And wound up in World War II, trapped in China because it was overrun by the Japanese. So she left Germany to escape the Nazis and winds up meeting the Japanese. Hey, perfect, a full course. Anyway, it's very interesting. She's in the Theravada school, the foundation vehicle school. So a couple of selections. One selection is going to be just on meditation, why and how she opens up the book. So feel free to complain. All the crowds out there, can you hear me? Complain, comment, whatever. But why is meditation so important, she says, as she opens up her book on that. The book is called Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. Very Zen type of art on the front cover, too. She's very interesting. Did a lot of her studying in Sri Lanka. Why is meditation so important? You must have realized that it is, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be interested in Buddhism. Tears. It's espresso, not liquor. I always say that. I'd like to emphasize that meditation is not just something extra to be done in our spare time, but is essential for our well-being. What well-being? The well-being of our mind, the most important thing she will go on about. One of our human absurdities is the fact that we're constantly thinking about either the future or the past. Those who are young think about the future because they've got more of it. Those who are older think more about the past because for them there is more of that. But in order to experience life, we have to live each moment. Life has not been happening in the past. That's memory. Life is not going to happen in the future. That's planning. The only time we can live is now, this moment. And as absurd as it may seem, we've got to learn that. All human beings with lifespans of 60, 70, 80 years, whatever, we have to learn to actually experience living in the present. That's where everything happens. Not according to our mind. Everything is the past, or I'll do this. So wake up. Look at your mind from this fresh viewpoint that she's presenting. So ask yourself, do I do this? I'll bet you do. I do. Most of us do. It's a habit. Spend a lot of time speculating on what we're going to do and rehashing what we've already done. How can you train the mind that way? You're just playing old tapes or projecting future tapes. When we have learned that, we have to learn to actually experience living in the present. When we have learned that, we will have eliminated a great many of our problems. That's the reason to learn it. How simple it sounds, how difficult it is. Anyone who has been trying knows that. Those of you who haven't tried yet will certainly find out. Such a simple premise and not at all easy to do. There's no other way to learn to live each moment except through meditation. Different types of meditation, we'll go into that now, but surely you hang around the Tibet Center, you're going to hear about all of them, and we put them to use. So, such a simple premise and not at all easy to do. But meditation has other aspects and facets which also help us do that. Living in the moment, that is. We are all quite able and efficient in looking after our bodies. We wash them at least once a day, I hope, probably even more often. We go out with clean clothes. We rest our bodies at night. Everyone has a bed. We wouldn't be able to stand up to the strain of living if we didn't also rest. Well, not everyone has a bed. The society's gone on from her era, which is more than 25 years ago. It's sad. We have a house where we shelter the body from rain, wind, and snow, and heat, and the cold. We wouldn't be able to function well otherwise. We feed the body with healthy nourishment, not with anything that we would consider poison. We give it the food we consider good for us, and we take exercise. At least we walk. If we didn't, our legs would atrophy, and we could no longer use them. She's building up, and you know what she's building up. Exactly the same has to be done for the mind. So that's something to think about. The physical body, which is going to go away, you're spending a lot of investment on time. Of course, you have to. It contains the brain. It helps us. Without a good, healthy body, we have even more problems. But that's not the full story. So, in fact, it's even more important because the mind is the master and the body is the servant. She has that idea set up. Well, it is, in a way. It should be. The best servant in perfect condition, young, strong, and vigorous, having a weak and dissolute master who doesn't know what to do, will not be able to work satisfactorily. We have the strong body, the healthy body, etc., and so forth. The mind is off course. Nothing but trouble. The master has to direct the servant, etc. The mind and body is our household. If this inner household is not in order, no outer household can be in order. Our relation to society is very skewed if we don't have a unity of body and mind and a healthy mental outlook, which seems to be the case for the majority. So, the one we live and work in is dependent on the other that we have created in our own house. In other words, the mind and the body rely on each other. The master, one in charge, has to be in the best possible condition. The mind is primary. It has to be in the best possible condition. It has to think logically. It has to evaluate reality properly, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what the topics of the Tibet Center are all about. Nothing in the whole universe is comparable to the mind or can take its place. Everything is mind-made. So how do you think of that? Is this the mind-only school? How is it mind-made? Well, our environment that we live in is a product of our past actions. We create a certain action. It leaves a mark called a karmic, karmic energy, let's say. That energy to play out has to have a set, like you're writing a play. That's this world. Collectively, everyone we meet at this time in the place we're in has a collective karma to be meeting each other. We set this all up. Mind-made. Not that you think of something, all of a sudden, there's a new car. I wish. Well, at least, a nice pizza and some dessert. But no, mind-made is this whole world, and the people in it are a result of past actions on everyone's part. So, think about it. When you go into anything in this world we have a part of, and we can offer it. You see beautiful buildings and monuments, all the foods in the store. When you whisk through the supermarket, imagine all these foods you're giving them. You have a stake in it, in creating this environment. Very tiny maybe, but at least so it's legitimate that you could offer everything you see in the supermarkets. Chandler Rinpoche used to go to jewelry stores, windows. I remember in Grand Central, there was a big jewelry store closed at night, but all the glittering jewels are in the window, and you stand in front of it and make offerings. Imagine them expanding through the universe. It's only in the mind, but it makes a big difference. It sets a karmic seed going that will ripen in the future. So just think about that. So when you're walking around the supermarket and looking, instead of getting mad that they don't have what you want, offer everything first, and then forget about everything. Then go about your business. It's a handy thing, right? Go to Trader Joe's. Nothing in the universe is comparable to mind or can take its place, etc. We know all that. When the body gets sick, we quickly run to the doctor. When the body gets hungry, we quickly feed it. When the body gets tired, we quickly rest it. But what about the mind? Only the meditator looks after the mind. So you heard it from the Tibetans, the mind. Look after the mind as you look after your body. So it's essential if life is to grow in depth, she says, and vision. How do we grow in depth and vision? Not by exercising our body or eating good food, etc. The mind. So that's that. Now, what does she have to say? And very interesting. She's talking about loving kindness, compassion. She goes through more or less the Buddhist path, calm and insight, etc. But her thing on compassion is very interesting. It's on page 45. If you're keeping score of this book, Being Nobody Going Nowhere. It's a wisdom book, so it's available. Very interesting take here. You read this part? Did you study this in the West Coast, on the West Coast?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, if it was last week, I would have forgotten it myself. I have books to read. I don't have to remember anything. Anyway, compassion, page 45. Our second friend, first friend was loving kindness. Your second friend is compassion. Its far enemy is cruelty, the opposite. Its near enemy is pity. Very interesting psychologically. Pity is called the near enemy. Why? Because it seems so similar. It's very close, and yet it is an enemy. Pity arises when we are sorry for someone. Compassion is when we are sorry with someone. Sorry for or sorry with. Calm means with. Passion is strong feeling. Compassion is empathy, to feel with another person. Also has the definition of wanting to remove those sufferings. But first it sees the field of suffering, understands it, because we ourselves have this problem. So, compassion arises when one realizes the suffering, the unsatisfactoriness that exists within oneself. Only then can one feel with another person. Otherwise, one is still under the delusion that everything is all right with oneself and that it's only other people who are having a bad time. Really? a big point. Subtle, easy to ignore sometimes. Even your own suffering, you can paint over with certain thoughts. But it's not the truth. It's not reality. So in the Tibet Center and Buddhism in general, you face reality. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't imagine it's something else. Sugarcoat, maybe honeycoat. It's more appropriate these days. I don't know. Otherwise, one is still in the impression that everything's all right oneself, etc. If one sees clearly within oneself that all unsatisfactory states that arise constantly in quick successions, the likes and the dislikes, the regrets and the resentments, follow your thought patterns. Here they are, the likes and the dislikes, the regrets and the resentments, the fears and the worries, the tension, then one knows that everyone is subject to the same. There's a whole game going on in that mind. A whole drama. Then, when someone else is having a difficult time, one can feel with that person, because one knows about one's own problems. Oh, I know, I see them. That's a big point. It's not just pity. Oh, poor thing. You see that the pity has a distance. Compassion is much closer, seems to be. I'm talking to someone here in the audience. Glad you found a seat. It's pretty quiet, crowded tonight. Anyway. Compassion can be an excellent starting point for love. If one can arouse in oneself a genuine feeling for another person, realizing how difficult the situation must be for them, what may be happening, then from there, it's not such a far cry to have a feeling of lovingness towards that person. Depends on who you are, but it would be logical to. But again, we mustn't discriminate between people, and that is what mostly happens. We can usually feel some compassion for those with whom we have some affinity. You know, he's in my neighborhood, he's in my block, we went to school to, blah, blah, blah. They belong to the same group or the same religion, the same country, the same neighborhood, the same club, whatever it is that we are interested in. Something that we can call mine, which makes it selective. And same with us and them, no good. No good. Me and others. So something that we can call mine, which makes it selective, in other words. It's not universal. That selection is what separates us from each other. And wherever one goes in the world, this separation exists. This creates all the strife between people. Fortress ego and everything else is out there. Fortress ego is not as solid as you think. It's not even there as we think it is. It's there, but not the way we think about it. A lot of time is wasted defending it for no reason. The separation from each other is based on our ego concept. Now she's hitting the nerve. This is me, and I've got to protect me and defend me. It's me. Me feels threatened. Me feels threatened so often that one doesn't even know me very well. It's always in a defensive posture. One doesn't know who that me really is. All one is aware of is the threat to me, with its attendant fear. Oh, fear. He's going to expand on that. When there is fear, there is no compassion. Why? Because she's saying fear is based on hate. When there is fear, there's no compassion, because fear is based on hate. We only fear what we don't like. We don't fear what we love. The more fear there is in the heart, the less compassion. This is very interesting psychology. It has nothing to do with Buddhism. This is the way the mind works, the way society works. That fell. I'm sorry. Thanks, Grace. Things fly around here. I don't know. So that's a big point, something to think about, even meditate on, or just consider, without sitting there like this, to consider. Is fear based on hate? Get down to the root. And of course, fear comes up like that. So if you can get down to the root of that, you're slowing down that whole practice, that whole succession of mental events. Maybe you'll have more of a grip on your mind, on fear. Fear is dangerous. You can't think properly. And you have to think properly when you're really under stress or under attack, quote, attack. So it's like anger, it blocks intelligence. The more fear there is in the heart, the less compassion. Fear is always based on an ego concept. The Arhat is totally fearless. There is no fear in a person who is enlightened. Of course not. There is nothing to fear because there is nothing to gain and nothing to lose. It has all become immaterial without significance in the enlightened state. The more ego, the more fear. Fear of the dark, fear of thieves, fear of bad weather, fear of the future, all kinds of fear. Fear is always based on the protection of that illusory me. Illusory me. And the more we want to protect me, the less we can have compassion. So what do you think? Seems to be. This particular me has to be defined, and that's what we do. But even when we have the layout, the schematic of how fear triggers this and it's caused by that, you have to go over this a lot. You have to stay on it because the mind quickly forgets. It's not something we're used to working with 24/7. We have to be, eventually. You have to know fear, and it's like uncontrollable sometimes. But so when you come out of that very fearful situation, think about it, bring it up on the screen, and ask yourself, did that strangle me? Yes. I couldn't, almost can't even move sometimes. So something you have to work with. So it's very interesting the way she combines fear with the lack of compassion. Compassion can, of course, be lip service. We can pretend. Most of us are extremely good at presenting. Once Pessa, P-E-S-S-A, an elephant trainer's son, came to see the Buddha and said to him, I have problems with elephants. Well, I don't have that problem. Do you have a problem with elephants? Maybe when you drink too much, I don't know. They do exactly as they appear to want to do. They have an intention, and I can see that intention, and then they follow through it. But I have a lot more problems with people. They say one thing and do another. The Buddha said, that's right. The elephant lives in the jungle, but the human being lives in a mental jungle. Whoa. People say one thing and mean to do or do another. They say one thing and mean or do another. The worst of it is that we're not even aware of it. We think that it is the way it ought to be done. We think that this is convention, custom, or tradition, and we don't thoroughly examine our thoughts, speech, or actions. So Buddha directly said this. Only when we examine ourselves with ruthless honesty will we ever know what the Buddha taught. The Buddha talked in depth about what happens with each one of us. Superficially, we all look different, and we seem to have different ideas and intentions. Superficially, there seems to be a great difference between people, but underlying all that, there is a unity. We are all made from the same recipe, and we are all searching for the same thing and going to the same destination. The differences we find are arbitrary. They're all based on the ego concept. So we'll leave it at that there. But it's very interesting, her take on compassion, and how, in mapping it out, she's giving you the solution. Something to analyze, something to work with, to free yourself of these forces that bang you around the world, around life. I think it's a nice presentation and a little different than what we're used to. So, what's the next menu item? It's called a book called Answers. And this was published in 2005, I think, or around the turn of the century. Let me see. It's a wisdom book also. 2001, so it's 25 years old about. Put together by Jose Cabezon, Dr. Cabezon, Professor Cabezon, ex-monk. He's the chair of the religious program, I think in Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara. Yes, Santa Barbara. I met him once at the old Tibet Center on 28th Street, a long time ago. He came to visit Rinpoche in 1980. So the reason why I got this book is that we're supposed to have discussion groups here. So I figured, and I did this Monday night, reading the questions to His Holiness. These are a bunch of students questioning His Holiness at Bodh Gaya, a couple of days in a row. They had an audience, they asked questions, and he answered. So idea is to read the questions out, since we're supposed to have a discussion group here, then ask the students how they would answer it. And listen to what everyone says, and then what does His Holiness say about it? Some things are simple, but some things are a little complicated. But the complicated things have a lot of teachings, complicated answers have a lot of teachings built into them. It's very interesting. So I'm going to take a question from page 53 of this book. First I'm going to put my phone there to keep the page. And I'm getting horse-lipped here. Question. In the teachings, a student asks, Western students, Eastern, I don't know who they got this one with. In the teachings, there are many things mentioned that are contradicted by Western science in the Buddhist literature. For example, it is claimed that the moon is 100 miles above the earth, etc. It also claims Mount Subaru is the center of the universe, blah, blah, blah. And we know that you fly in a plane or a space vehicle, there's no Mount Subaru. Where's the Mount Subaru? You can't find it. Is it just a real estate term to charge more rent? I don't know. Could be. So anyway, for example, it's claimed the moon is 100 miles above the earth. Many of our teachers hold these views to be literally true and Western science to be wrong. Would Your Holiness comment on how we should view these teachings of the Buddha and how we should regard our teachers who hold them literally? So some teachers really believe this. I don't know who they are. Ours didn't here, but it doesn't matter. You have any ideas? Send them in. If you want to. You have any opinion? What you should do about this? Anyone here? No? It's obvious. You can't find Mount Sumeru. And all the other continents around it and everything. So it's always only it's just very scientific. He's more, yeah.
I question the question. What teachers hold that to be literally true?
The older ones did, some of them.
Okay.
And then someone you question, they would say, well, that's a symbol for us. It's easy to think about the whole world that way. That makes sense. Because they do the mandal offering representing Sumeru on the 4 continents around it. It may be a convenient package to put, you want to express totality of everything that's around. Here's the whole universe. Something like that, I guess. Now more and more of them are educated in science. The young teachers, I'm sure Serkang Rinpoche, Ling Rinpoche don't believe that at all. But when we started out, a lot of teachers didn't speak English, only had monastery training, didn't have, it's different. Science wasn't embraced at all. Now it is. Even that nun that was here from Ladakh had to take science courses, biology. She had to draw a cell and everything. It's part of the curriculum. It's not an elective. You will study it. Mainly Emory University has got a lot of resident monks there taking heavy science courses. Well, it's good. Anyway, His Holiness now answers, and he's very modern and very compassionate towards the teachers that believe this. This is a complicated matter. But I believe, and I have expressed this on several occasions, that basically a Buddhist attitude on any subject must be one that accords with the facts. If, upon investigation, you find that there is no reason and proof for a point, then you should accept it. There is reason, rather, for a point, then you should accept it. That is not to say that there are certain points that are beyond the human powers of deductive reasoning. In other words, you don't see this Mount Meru, except the fact that there's no Mount Meru, for instance. So he said, there are some things that are beyond the powers of human deductive reasoning. That is a different matter. But things such as the size or position of the moon and stars, etc., are things that the human mind can come to know. On these matters, it is important to accept the facts, the real situation, whatever it may be. So, when we investigate certain measures and descriptions as they exist in our own texts, we find that they do not correspond to reality. In such a case, we must accept the reality and not the literal scriptural explanation. This should be the basic attitude. Notice he says literal scriptural explanation. It leaves room for this being a symbol, a convenient crutch to use to place something in the mind that represents the whole universe. I guess, there's no, in that way it does make sense, something you could work with. If something is contradictory to reasoning, or if it is found to be false after investigation, then that point cannot be accepted. He bangs the gavel. That is the rule, and that is the general attitude. For example, if something is directly experienced by the senses, then there is no question, no doubt, that we should accept it. Senses that are, of course, clear. Not fooled or whatever. In the scriptures, there are many different cosmological theories expounded, and this is true. Some of the tantras, like Kala Chakra, explain reality, the physical reality, differently from others. There's a reason for that, a type of student that's studying that, a type of mindset that's using those techniques and that imagination for a purpose. That's a difficult, deep topic to answer quickly to a big crowd. But when you start reading up on these things, you'll find explanations that, yes, we imagine the universe sometimes square, sometimes it's round, something in the shape of a triangle or whatever. There's reason for that because of the mindset of the practitioner. Again, these are techniques to break out of all techniques. For example, if something is directed by the senses, we accept. Okay. In the scriptures, there are many different cosmological theories expounded. We believe that there are many billions and billions of worlds in the same way that Western science accepts that there are limitless number of galaxies. So they're in sync with science here. Limitless number of galaxies, not just planets, galaxies. This is something that is mentioned very clearly in Scripture. Though the size and shape may not be the same, they may be different, but there are more worlds. So that's that. For example, Mount Meru is mentioned in the Scriptures. It is claimed to be the center of the earth, but if it is there, by following the description in Scripture of its location, it must be found. Nobody found it. At least we must get some indication that it is there, but there is none. So we must take a different interpretation from the literal one. That makes sense then. If there are teachers who still hold to the literal meaning, then that's their own business. I like that. He'd do well around New York. That's their business. There's no need to argue with them. You can see things according to your own interpretation, and they can see things as they see fit. In any case, these are basically minor matters, aren't they? The foundation of the teachings, the Four Noble Truths, what they have to say about the nature of life, about the nature of suffering, about the nature of mind, these are the basic teachings. These are what is important, not the externals, right? This is what is most important, these things, and what is most relevant to our lives. Whether the world is square or round does not matter as long as it remains a peaceful and good place. I like that. And here's another question that maybe you're wondering about. I thought this one would be helpful for people. Can Your Holiness comment on the power of a holy place such as Bodh Gaya? What makes it such a special place? What makes virtuous activities performed here more powerful and worthy of more merit? His Holiness says, the fact that many holy beings, spiritually advanced practitioners, stay and practice in a certain place makes the atmosphere or environment of that place change. There is something there. The place gets some imprint from the person. An imprint, that's a good way of saying it. Then, when another person who doesn't have much experience or spiritual development comes and remains in that place and practices, he or she can obtain certain special kinds of experience through, of course, the right type of motivation, and certain karmic forces must also be present in the person as contributing factors for such an experience to come about. Yes, the real crazy person that's very hateful is not going to get the benefit. Maybe some, I don't know, but that's what he's saying. According to tantric teachings, at important places there are non-human beings like dakinis who have bodies that are much more subtle than those of humans. When great spiritual practitioners stay in a certain place and perform meditation and rituals there, that place becomes familiar to beings like Dakas and Dakinis, so that they may inhabit the place and travel around it. As indications of this, sometimes one may notice an unusual noise or smell that seems to have no particular reason for existing in these places. There are indications that some higher beings, these rather, are indications that there are some higher beings, different beings who have more experience, they are inhabiting or traveling through that place. This could also be a factor influencing whether or not a place is considered special. Special because of the beings that come in and out of it, which we can't see with our certain types of perception. Advanced beings can, spiritually advanced beings. We can't, at least I can't. So, in addition, as for Bodhi Gaya, we know that the Buddha himself must have chosen this place for a particular reason. This we believe. Due to the power of his prayer, later, when his followers actually come to this place, they may feel something. Hence, the power of the Buddha's prayer could also be a factor. He's giving you reasons why the place is special. You agree or not agree? Vote now. Perhaps we must take human psychological factors into account as well. For example, Mahayana Buddhists feel strongly toward Shakyamuni Buddha, toward Nagarjuna, etc. In my own case, I have a strong feeling towards the Buddha, towards Nagarjuna, Arya Sangha, and to all those great beings. So when you stay at the place where these people were born and remain, then you feel something. If you use this feeling in the right way, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So that should give you confidence to go visit these sites. It's not a waste of time. There's logical reasons why these places are special. So that's very nice to hear. So don't worry about spending money to go there and this and that. Well worth it. Where you going to go? Caesar's Palace or something? Come on. I wonder. I don't think of any Dakinis in Caesar's Palace. So now we're back to our main text recently. The Power of Compassion, a small little book that goes through it. And we had been, before the last series of talks that I was presiding over, discussion groups, we were talking about death, and now this book is morphing into the process of death and dying, so then I can continue on with His Holiness's advice on dying text. So this is a nice transition. So I'll start backing up a little. On page 24, Facing Death and Dying Well. Through difficult experiences, His Holiness says, life sometimes becomes more meaningful. He's very big on this point. From his own experience going through leaving his country and setting up in exile, he realizes that very difficult but difficult situations bring out your strength. If you look at people, he says, who from the beginning of their lives have had everything, you may see that when small things happen, they soon lose hope or grow irritated. Others, like the generation of people in England who experienced World War II, have developed stronger mental attitudes as a result of their hardships. I think the person who has had more experience of hardships can stand more firmly in the face of problems than the person who has never experienced suffering. What do you think? Nobody wants to suffer anyway. We already got it, so you might as well realize its usefulness. From this angle, then, some suffering can be a good lesson for life. Now, is this attitude just a way of deceiving ourselves? You probably came in with that question right away mentally. Personally, I have lost my country, and worse still, in my country there has been a lot of destruction, suffering, and unhappiness. I have spent not only the majority of my life, but also the best part of my life outside Tibet. If you think of this from that angle alone, there is hardly anything that is positive. Yeah. But from another angle, you can see that because of these unfortunate things, I have had another type of freedom, such as the opportunity of meeting different people from different traditions and also meeting scientists from different fields. In old Tibet, he couldn't. From these experiences, my life has been enriched and I have learned many valuable things. So my tragic experiences have also had some valuable aspects. Good way to think about it. He's there anyway. When he just go over the sea, oh, it's terrible, I'm in exile, I'm in exile. He made the most of it. And we have to think that way too. Because don't worry, a lot of tragic things descend on us automatically. Aggravation, political reality, we can go on. Economic reality. Yes, it's horrible. We're not saying it's not, but then there's other sides to it. It could build up your strength. Looking at problems from these different angles actually lessens the mental burden or mental frustration. A big point. Separate what you already have, and don't add problems from the mind to that and make it worse. As he says, when you're sick, you're physically sick, don't make it worse by compounding it with mental worry. Oh, I'm never going to get better. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, boy. Doesn't help. Doesn't cure you, that's for sure. From the Buddhist viewpoint, every event has many aspects, and naturally one event can be viewed from many, many different angles. It is very rare, almost impossible, that an event can be negative from all points of view. This is a tough one. Good to think about this. It'll be a topic of a lot of meditation. But every event has different angles to it. First of all, temporally, on the temporal side, temporal, everything is passing quickly. Doesn't seem like it when you're suffering. So this is only a flash in time. Everything by nature is moving all the time. Bear that in mind. Doesn't seem like it when you're suffering a terrible headache or something, but it goes. So that's one way of looking at things. There are other angles, in other words, excuse me. And that's healthy. It expands the mind. Therefore, it is useful when someone happens to try to look at things from different angles, and then you can see the positive or beneficial aspects. Moreover, if something happens, it is very useful immediately to make a comparison with some other event or with the events of other people in other nations. This is also very helpful in sustaining your peace of mind. I will now explain as a Buddhist monk how to deal with death. Buddha taught the principles of the Four Noble Truths, the first of which is the truth of suffering. The truth of suffering is taught within the context of three characteristics of existence. What are the three characteristics of existence? The first being impermanence. You can't deny that. When talking about the nature of impermanence, we must bear in mind that there are two levels. One is the coarse level, which is quite obvious, and is the cessation of the continuation of a life or an event. Boom. Okay? But the impermanent nature, which is being taught in the relations to the Four Noble Truths, refers to the more subtle aspect of impermanence, which is the transitory nature of existence. Everything's kinetic, moving all the time. Not just the building was there, and 5 years later it wasn't there, but split, as Nikki always says, moment by moment, things are moving. We don't. In our perceptions, we freeze everything. We know things. Yes, it's getting darker now, then it gets... But we don't. We do freeze things, like everything is like this. And we sometimes think that everything, this moment, now this moment, now this moment. That's trying to take snapshots of reality. It flows. So, something to think about. The planet's moving, for instance. They're always moving. They not go here, then they go there, then they go there. No. Flow. So think flow. But the impermanent nature, which is being taught into relation to the Four Noble Truths, refers to the subtle aspect of impermanence, again, the transitory nature of existence. Buddhist teachings of the more subtle aspects of the impermanent nature of existence aims at establishing an appreciation of the basic unsatisfactory nature of our existence as it is now. Not what our existence could be, but what it is now. It's unsatisfactory. Don't cover it over paint over the imperfections. Also, don't just drag your head down because, oh, so unsatisfactory. No, if you understand the nature of impermanence correctly, you will understand that it reveals that any existence which are causally produced, that is, which come about as a result of causes and conditions entirely depend on causes and conditions for their existence. I think you know that already. Not only that, but the very causes and conditions which have produced them also bring about disintegration and cessation of those very entities, of course. A cause throws something in. Once the cause does what it's supposed to do, automatically it deteriorates and causes the destruction. Anything caused is impermanent. And most things are caused. When this is related to the understanding of the impermanent nature of our own aggregates, the body and mind, then here the causes refers to our own ignorant state of mind, which is the root of our existence. This reveals that our very physical existence, our bodily existence, is very much governed by the force of an ignorant state of mind that caused this body to be what it is, samsaric body. But it is by first reflecting on the coarser levels of impermanence that one is eventually led to an appreciation of the subtle levels of impermanence. And by this one will be able to confront and counteract grasping at permanence or eternal existence of one's own identity or self, because it is this grasping at permanence that forces us to cling into this very nowness or matters of one's lifetime alone. That's why this is being taught. Not to make you sad or to let you know that your thinking is thinking wrong about the way things are. And you're not going to be able to get out of that situation with this kind of mindset. Look at it carefully. Things are moving. Do you really go along with that? It saves us a lot of time and effort if we can realize that deep down, on the moment by moment level, granular level, whatever you want to call it, things are always in motion and impermanent. By releasing the grip of this grasping, because you want to hold it, you can't. That's the problem, and there's the tension. I would like it to be this way. You can't have it that way. Why don't you go along with what is? You might be really happy. That's Buddhist says that. Buddhists say that. Buddhist texts say that? I don't know. Whatever. Tell them to be quiet. I'm trying to read. So we have a little bit of time. So grasping at this very nowness, we want to freeze time, so we want to keep this moment going. A lot of songs are about that. So anyway, that's it. By releasing the grip of this grasping and enduring the idea of things we should endure, we will be in a better position to appreciate the value of working for our future lifetimes. Work with what you have. You have things in motion. Work with that. Time changes. Our body will be gone. We'll go somewhere else. We'll do this. We'll do that. Work with that. First, settle it to yourself. Yes, this is true. Don't just force yourself. Well, the Buddha said that, so that's what you have to understand it directly yourself. One of the reasons why awareness of death and impermanence is so crucial in the Buddhist religious practice is that it is considered that your state of mind at the time of death has a very great effect on determining what form of rebirth you might take, or rebirth. Whether it is a positive state of mind or a negative one will have a great effect in the dying process. Going in, have a positive state of mind. Rinpoche always recommend, think of, well, I'm dying, be honest. I want to go to a place where I can be helpful to someone. In other words, invoke compassion. He said that never fails to produce a good rebirth. You could do your tantric practice. If you're real good, it'll work. If you're not, then use compassion. It never fails. He told me this more than once. And not just me, the whole class. Therefore, Buddhist religious practice greatly emphasizes the importance of the awareness of death and impermanence. Although the main purpose of a high degree of awareness of impermanence is to train oneself so that at the time of death, one will be in a virtuous and positive state of mind and will be assured of a positive rebirth, there are other benefits. One of the positive side effects of maintaining a very high degree of awareness of death is that it will prepare the individual to such an extent that when the individual actually faces death, he or she will be in a better position to maintain his or her presence of mind. Especially in Tantric Buddhism, it is considered that the state of mind which one experiences at the point of death is extremely subtle. You're going to more and more subtle mind levels before you die. extremely subtle, and because of the subtlety of the level of that consciousness, it also has great power impact upon one's mental continuum. You're going to the base of the operating system, if you would. And if you can maintain awareness there, very big influence on the grosser minds that you're going to generate as you be reborn. So in tantric practices, we find a lot of emphasis placed on death-related meditations and also reflections upon the process of death, so that the individual at the time of death not only retains his or her presence of mind, but also is in a position to utilize the subtle state of consciousness effectively towards the realization of the path. It is said that most people don't see these subtle states, they whiz by, but a good conditioned mind can slow things down and see, okay, this is happening now, that's happening. How do you get to that point? By reviewing the manuals on how to prepare for death, how to visualize this, what is happening when the earth element dissolves, the water, this. It's all been mapped out. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's done. But we have to become very, very, very familiar with it. That's what I've been hearing. I don't know. We all obviously died before, and we're back here. Other than that, what do we know? How much time do we have? Not much time. Darren, do we have any names? Oh, good. Not really good. We're going to do the Sutra of the Recollection of the Three Jewels, and these people have been, names have been given to us. Steve Cropper, the drummer?
Guitar player.
What is? The guitar player.
Booker T.
Yeah, not only that, what is the Memphis Sound? Joanne Allen Boyce and Jim Ward. These people. Okay. And anyone else you know has passed away recently, even a few years ago, I don't know. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha Bhagavat Tathagata Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those along with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the Great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. the protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms, this alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So now we have the 8 verses for training the mind. Found it? Okay. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. And before we say this prayer, there'll be an important announcement after this prayer, so don't tune out. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. This is a prayer for swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche, right here, written by His Holiness. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tempe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moon-like face. So what I have to say, important announcement, the next 2 Wednesdays are respectively Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. There will be no classes in New Jersey on those nights. The Monday classes will continue straight through. Monday night is not the eve of anything this year. But we don't expect many people will want to come New Year's Eve, especially driving, or Christmas Eve, whatever. So there will be Tara on Saturday after Christmas. So the next class will be Monday night in New York City, 151 West 30th Street on the 3rd floor at 7 o'clock. After that, there will be a Tara the day after the Saturday after Christmas. So those are the events coming up. So again, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, no class. It's hard to travel on New Year's Eve anyway. These are the Jersey dates anyway. They're Wednesday nights. So nothing to do. New York is unaffected. That's that. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Big love to all of you.